Hi, I'm Royce Morales. I'm a transformational facilitator, spiritual teacher, and I have a radio show called Listen Up with Royce Morales. And today I want to talk about fear of success. It might sound kind of odd, but we probably have deeper fears of success than we have fear of failure. So I'm going to talk about why that is and give you a little handy dandy way to start resolving that. And it is something I talk a lot about in my Perfect Life Awakening course. So if you want to go deeper with all of this, that's the best place to do it. And I do individual work with people as well. So again, you're probably very familiar with the idea of fear of failure, but fear of success is an even bigger issue. And it sounds so weird because you've probably fantasized your whole life about being successful and having a great career and making $1 million and driving a Ferrari, whatever your dream looks like. But because of that fantasy and because we have so many subconscious issues about success, it's really difficult to face the fact that you might be just as afraid of success as you are of failure. So part of it is the unpredictability that might occur. So maybe in your head, you're thinking, oh gosh, everybody's going to know me and I won't have my independence and my friends will go away. And what am I going to do with that $1 million anyway? And I've got taxes I'm going to have to pay, and I have more people I'm going to be responsible for, and maybe I don't have enough time or energy. So all of these things might be going on subconsciously when you think about success. And again, the fantasy of it sounds really wonderful, but the reality of it might be a little bit frightening to your fear-based programmed consciousness. Now, I find that confronting those fears and starting to look at them and face them and acknowledge them and recognize them is a huge part of the battle. Because, again, when you're in that fantasy place, it's hard to admit that there might be some other stuff going on that's getting in the way. So it's really important to admit it and to see it for what it is. It's just fear. As I talk about a lot in my videos, fear is just false evidence appearing real. That's my little acronym for fear. So what is the false evidence that's appearing real? And even if it's real, you'll be able to handle it. That's something to kind of keep in the back of your mind. It's like, okay, yeah, I can handle all of that stuff. But the truth is that fear goes deeper than that superficial level. And this is something I talk a lot about in my course all the time, just constantly. And that is the fact that there's a part of us that just does not feel deserving. So if you're thinking that you're going to be successful and you're going to have all of these accolades and life-changing things happening when you're successful, but that little part of you that says you don't deserve, that's the part of you that's going to succeed. That's the part of you that's going to make sure that subconsciously you sabotage yourself in some way. So it's all about deservingness. I talk about that all the time. And my students are always like, but I do feel deserving. Well, you might on the surface feel deserving. You might think you feel deserving, but there's a whole other story going on behind the scenes in your programmed consciousness that says, nope, don't feel deserving at all. So let's talk about a little formula to help you get past the fear of success. And again, I'm just saying that this is pretty superficial because it does go deeper, but it's a good start. It's a good first step. So the first step I always have people do is to imagine that you are successful. Just kind of get a picture of that. What does that feel like? What does that look like? And I find that the more clear you are in whatever it is you're trying to attain, it really seems to manifest better results. So get some details, maybe sit with your journal and write it down. What does success look like to me? And it could just be, I want to help people, and I'm not real clear about what it looks like at this point. But be as clear as you can. Get in touch with how your body feels about that and the emotions that come along with that and the deep sense of desire that comes with that. And as you're doing that, ask yourself, is this really what my higher consciousness or my intuition or my spirit really wants me to do? Or is this just kind of a pipe dream or feeding my ego? Where is this really coming from in me? The second step is to give yourself permission to really acknowledge all the fears that come up. So if the universe just dropped in your lap all of that stuff that you've been fantasizing about and thinking about and just visualizing, what if that landed in your lap right now? What fear comes up? Give yourself permission to sit with that fear and feel it and recognize it and acknowledge it, because that fear is giving you a message about something. So I always tell people, don't invalidate even those silly fears. I'm just afraid that if I have that $1 million, I'm going to, have it in my purse and I'm going to lose it. Just what I'm being silly, but just whatever fear comes up about being successful, just recognize it, because even those silly ones could be pointing you in a direction that you need to look in your life. Why do I have that weird fear that I'm going to lose all that money in my purse or whatever it is? So the next step is to even go further with those fears. So let yourself imagine the absolute worst case scenario. So again, don't edit whatever comes up. And I know that a lot of what I'm saying kind of goes counterintuitive to maybe what you've been taught by other disciplines, like, just put aside the fears and don't think about them. And it's all about positive thinking. Well, that's all well and good. But the truth is, you have that little creeping negative stuff going on that just needs to be recognized and acknowledged, because otherwise it's going to go berserk. You're going to find yourself subconsciously sabotaging all kinds of stuff by just ignoring it. It's like having a bratty child in the room that you're trying to ignore and push aside and close the door on. Eventually, that bratty child is going to have their way. So recognize what that little bratty child inside of you is trying to say, and just go, okay, well, thank you for sharing. And we don't need to buy into those fears. We just need to recognize them and allow them to have their space. So that's step 3. So you're imagining the worst case scenario and letting yourself really get into it. Now, step 4, this again is just kind of a Band-Aid, but it's an interesting Band-Aid. Imagine yourself handling those challenges and those fears gracefully, because the truth is that you will. And there might be things that come up when you're successful that you didn't even anticipate. So just imagine that, what would I do if this happened? And just kind of get a sense of how powerful you truly are and that you can handle anything that happens in your life. Now, the next thing, again, this is, all just in your imagination. You can do this with your eyes closed or with your journal or just pondering as I'm talking. Just visualize yourself being successful and let yourself feel comfortable with that idea. So what does that feel like? Imagine yourself handling anything potential that happens, any downside, and just kind of get a sense that, I can do it. And by the way, this doesn't have to be like this big dramatic success that you're thinking about. It could just be something small, like, talking to a stranger, or in my life, it was putting chains on my tire. I had to imagine myself visualizing myself doing this because I'd never done it before. I'd never lived in the snow before. So I just kind of visualized and got in touch with my power to do it. And it was fine. But I had to do that little exercise first so that I could succeed. All right. So again, know that on some level, you'll be able to handle it. It will be fine. No matter what happens, you will be fine. All of that stuff is just helping you to create that vision in your life. Now, the most important thing to do with all of this is to kind of go back to step 2 and take a look at those fears that came up for you. Now, what are they really about? And that's where, I highly recommend reaching out to me, because I can help you to pull up the roots of those fears. So if you're noticing that, I've got all these fears that I'm going to lose this, or I'm going to lose my friends, or I'm going to lose my money, you're noticing that there's a pattern here. There's some kind of a belief that you have about yourself that I'm going to lose things. So what is that about? Where did that come from? And that's the work that I do in my classes and the work that I do with individuals. I help them locate the roots of where they decided that they lose things, or that they can't deserve to have nice things in their life. Whatever the source of that particular program is, I help people to discover, pull it out, get rid of it so it doesn't have to affect you anymore. Most importantly, all of this is really about knowing that you deserve. And again, it's not something you can convince yourself of. You can think positively till you're blue in the face. It's not going to work until you get to the roots and you get to the source of where you decided that you don't deserve, and pull that up by the roots. And suddenly things shift. And that's when the universe says, yes, okay, now you do deserve. Here you go. And it starts to manifest and things start to show up, and you are supported in attaining that success, because that's what you deserve. So all of this is stuff that I talk about and that I deal with the Perfect Life Awakening program, the classes, the individual sessions that I do. If this is something that's calling your name, if you've been stuck in trying to succeed and it's just not working, and some of the stuff that I'm saying is really kind of vibing with you, reach out to me. You can reach me on my website, roycemorales.com, perfectlifeawakening.com. All the information is on the information about this video. I look forward to hearing from you, and I look forward to your success. Thank you so much. Hit like and subscribe, because I have a lot of videos that I'm doing, and they're all really informative, and you deserve to hear them. Thank you.